Hello everyone, welcome to Easy English for Everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share to receive the latest videos. Now let's study together.
Hi everyone. Today we will practice listening and speaking skills with Albert Einstein topic. This story will take you on a journey through the life of Albert Einstein, a brilliant scientist who changed the world with his ideas. Along the way, we will learn about curiosity, hard work, and the power of imagination. Chapter 1. The Day Albert Got a Magic Compass. Albert Einstein was born in a little town in Germany in 1879. His house was small but cozy. It had a big garden with flowers and a tree where birds sang. His father, Hermann, worked with machines that made light. His mother, Pauline, played music on a piano. Albert was a quiet boy. He didn't talk much when he was little. His parents looked at him and said, "Is something wrong?" But Albert wasn't sad. He was thinking. One sunny day, when Albert was 5, his father came home with a surprise. "Albert, look at this," Hermann said. He held out a small compass. It had a shiny glass top and a needle that moved. Albert took it in his hands. The needle turned and pointed one way. "Why does it move?" Albert asked. His father laughed. "It shows north. It's like magic from the earth." Albert's eyes grew big. He didn't think it was magic. He thought it was a puzzle. That night, Albert sat in bed with the compass. He turned it left. The needle moved back. He turned it right. The needle moved again. "Why does it always know?" he whispered. His little sister, Maya, peeked in. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm finding out why," Albert said. Maya giggled. "You're funny, Albert." From that day, Albert loved questions. He wanted to know why the sky was blue, why the wind blew, and why soup got cold so fast. His family didn't always have answers, but they liked his big ideas. Chapter 2. School and the Angry Teacher. When Albert was 6, he started school. The school had big walls and long desks. The teacher, Mr. Braun, was tall and loud. He had a mustache like a broom. "Sit down. Be quiet," Mr. Braun shouted every day. Albert didn't like that. He wanted to talk about stars and numbers, not just sit. One day, Mr. Braun wrote numbers on the board. "Einstein, what is 5 plus 3? He asked. Albert looked up. 8, he said. "Good," Mr. Braun said. "Now stop dreaming." But Albert couldn't stop dreaming. He looked out the window at the clouds. "Why do they move?" he thought. Mr. Braun saw him. "Einstein, pay attention," he yelled. His face turned red. Albert smiled. "Sorry, sir. I was thinking about the wind." The other children laughed. Mr. Braun didn't laugh. "No more wind in my class," he said. Albert nodded, but his mind kept flying. At home, Albert told Maya about school. "Mr. Braun is like a bear," he said. Maya laughed. "Does he growl?" she asked. "Yes," Albert said. "But I like numbers more than bears." Maya hugged him. "You're smart, Albert. Don't let the bear stop you." Albert smiled. He knew school was hard, but he loved learning anyway. Chapter 3. The Sheep Chase Adventure. One weekend, Albert went for a walk. He was 9 now and tall for his age. He took his compass and a sandwich in his pocket. "I'll explore today," he told Maya. He walked into the woods. The trees were green, and the air smelled sweet. Albert followed his compass. It pointed north. He kept going. Soon, he didn't know where he was. "Oh no," he said. "I'm lost." He sat on a big rock and ate his sandwich. Then he heard a sound. Bah, bah. A fluffy white sheep ran out of the bushes. It stopped and looked at Albert. "Hello," Albert said. The sheep ran again. Albert laughed and chased it. "Wait," he called. The sheep was fast. It jumped over rocks and under trees. Albert ran after it, his compass bouncing in his hand. Then a boy appeared. He had messy hair and a big stick. "Stop, Lucy," the boy shouted. The sheep stopped. The boy looked at Albert. "Hi, I'm Hans." That's my sheep, Lucy. Who are you? Albert grinned. I'm Albert. I'm lost. Hans smiled. You're funny. I'll show you the way home. They walked back together. Albert asked, Why does Lucy run? Hans said, She likes fun. Albert thought about it. Maybe everything moves for a reason, he said. Hans scratched his head. You're strange, Albert. But I like you. They became friends that day. Chapter 4. The day Albert fell in love with music. Albert's mother, Pauline, loved music. She played the piano every night. The sound filled the house like a warm hug. One evening, when Albert was 10, she said, Albert, come try this. She sat him at the piano. Press here, she said. Albert pressed a key. A soft note came out. He pressed another. A loud note. He laughed. It's like magic, he said. Pauline smiled. It's not magic. It's music. Want to learn? Albert nodded. Every day after school, he played the piano with his mom. His fingers were slow at first. He made funny noises. Maya covered her ears and said, You sound like a cat. Albert stuck out his tongue. I'll get better, he said. And he did. Soon, he played happy songs that made everyone dance. One night, Albert played a song he made up. It was fast and silly. His father clapped. Albert, you're good at this. Pauline hugged him. Music is in your heart, she said. Albert smiled. He loved music almost as much as questions. It made him feel free. Chapter 5. The Mischief with the Clock. Albert's father had a workshop with machines and tools. One day, when Albert was 12, he went inside. A big clock hung on the wall. It ticked loudly. Albert stared at it. Why does time move so slow? He wondered. He took a screwdriver from the table. Let's see inside, he said. He climbed a chair and opened the clock. Springs and gears fell out. Oops, Albert said. He tried to put them back, but the clock stopped ticking. His father walked in. Albert, what did you do? He asked. Albert looked up with a shy smile. I wanted to know how it works, he said. Hermann sighed. You broke my clock. But then he laughed. You're too curious, son. They fixed the clock together. Hermann said, Time is important, Albert. Albert nodded. But what if time changes? He asked. His father raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Albert shrugged. I don't know yet. That day, he started thinking about time in a new way. It was the beginning of a big idea. Chapter 6. Moving to a new home. When Albert was 15, his family moved to Italy. His father's job wasn't going well, so they packed their bags. Albert said goodbye to Hans in the woods. I'll miss Lucy, he told Maya. She hugged him. We'll find new friends, she said. Italy was warm and bright. The streets had colorful houses and loud markets. Albert loved it. He walked everywhere with his compass. One day, he climbed a hill and looked at the sky. It's so big, he said. He sat down and wrote in a little book. What if light moves funny up there? He thought. His ideas were growing bigger every day. At his new school, the teachers were nicer. One teacher, Mr. Rossi, liked Albert's questions. You're smart, Einstein, he said. Albert smiled. I just like to wonder. Italy felt like an adventure. He ate pasta, played music, and dreamed about the stars. Chapter 7. The day Albert got a job. Albert grew up and went to a big school called a Swiss Federal Polytechnic. He studied math and science. After school, he needed a job. He found one in an office in Switzerland. He sat at a desk with piles of papers. This is boring, he said, but it gave him money and time to think. At night, Albert wrote his ideas. He drew pictures of light and time. What if time bends? He asked. What if space moves? His friends laughed. Chapter 9. The Cake Thief. When Albert was older, he went to a party. He wore a big coat and messy hair. The table had cake, cookies, and juice. Albert took a big piece of cake. He said. Then a little dog ran in. It jumped up and grabbed the cake from his hand. Hey, Albert shouted. He chased the dog. The dog ran under tables. Albert ran too. People laughed. Get him. Einstein. They cheered. The dog stopped and dropped the cake. Albert picked it up. It's still good, he said. He ate it and winked. Life needs cake, he said. Everyone clapped. Albert wasn't just smart, he was fun. Chapter 10. A letter from a friend. One day, Albert got a letter. It was from a girl named Anna. Dear Mr. Einstein, she wrote, I like stars. Am I smart like you? Albert smiled. He wrote back, Dear Anna, you're very smart. Keep asking why. That's the secret. Anna read it and jumped with joy. Albert loved helping people. He told everyone, wonder about the world. It's full of surprises. He played his piano, ate his soup, and looked at the sky. His life was simple but big. Chapter 11. The End That's a Beginning. Albert Einstein became famous all over the world. His ideas about time and space changed everything. But he stayed the same Albert, a boy with a compass who loved questions. He said, be curious. It's the best adventure. What about you? Do you ask why? Maybe you're like Albert. Look at the stars, chase a sheep, or eat some cake. The world is waiting.